Hello everyone, welcome to Powerline. I'm your host Sky Knight, and I'm here to do a deck profile of my buddy's deck, Clark. Let's go, Clark.
Alright, so we have the Shadow Paladins, and you know how it is. It's always Abyss and Blasted Dark Diablo. Well, I went back to the original, and I did the 4 Abyss, and then I've got 3 Mordred. The reason for that was because majority of the time when I was playing Diablo, I found myself needing to use effects that couldn't go off because of the Revenger name. So I decided, you know what? Let me go back to the Revenger name, right? If I miss the chain with, if I miss the ride with Abyss, it's gonna be perfectly fine because I can still break ride with it anyway, and I'll still be a blaster for Diablo if anything. So I figured it's gonna be fine. Up next for 2s, it's gonna be 4 Abyss, Blasted Dark Abyss, obviously. The 3 Darks. I know, why 3? Oh my god, you should be playing 4, or none at all. And then 3 Macha. The reason for the Darks is because 1, he retires grade 1s, 2, he retires anything in the front row, and he can unflip, which means more utility, which means an easier Diablo effect, and a harder time for your opponent making up for things that he's already lost. So let's just put that aside now. Grade 1s. They're all over the place. We obviously have 4 Karma Collectors, because we need to unflip damage. Obviously, unflipping damage is very good. Speaking of unflipping, 3 Dorints. Why 3? Because you can search them with Macha and with Trumpeter. Other grade 1s that I've started to play now. The 2 Stride Enabler Branwens. Why? Because I do not want to discard 2 or more cards to Stride. Also have 2 Masquerades. During the Diablo build, I was running 3. And I didn't like it mainly because I only had 3 grade 1 Revengers in the deck total. So that's when I decided to go back to the Revenger name, and I decided to down Masquerade to 2 because I could search them out with Darkheart Trumpeter. I could search it out with that and make a 17 column after I already swung, sacrificed the column, etc., right? And it just makes it more of a little bit of a threat. Other techs that I've tried out so far, and I'm really starting to like, and they're growing on me, is 1 Charon. It's easier to sacrifice when you have the blaster name for Diablo. If you're sitting on Phantom Blaster Abyss and you stride, you can use it for Aurageyser. And 1 Swordbreaker. There is times when the deck will conflict as far as soul usage is concerned, but I try to mitigate that as best as possible by deciding when to use what. Swordbreaker isn't in there to be a mandatory effect, it's just more of a tech and more situational based. So if you're ever short a card, or if you feel your opponent's gonna, really wallywop you, and you need that extra oomph to guard or set up for next turn, she's there. She can also be used to sacrifice for Diablo or Aurageyser. What's next? Triggers. I was playing 10 criticals before, but I decided to go back to the 8. The triggers don't matter so long as they're Revenger named. That way, if you need to play them for the Abyss play, you can. I mean, I hate sacrificing those zeros, but you gotta do what you gotta do to make the win. 4 heals, obviously. Who would run less? I've got 2 Revenger draw triggers, and then I've got the 2 Howl Owls. That's to help me set up for columns, just in case I've got a grade 3 on the board. With a 7k, I can make that into a 21 column. If I need to use Swordbreaker or anything that requires my soul, I can just chuck it right into the soul, and I'll be able to continue on with my game so far. Finishing up, we're going to go into grade 4s. So, for grade 4s, we obviously have 2 Aurageyser. Also, we've got the 4 Diablo. And then we have Grim Recruiter. You know, Grim Recruiter on hit, search out a 1. If it's backed by Judgebau, you could bring out 3 to 4, set up for the next turn. If you're playing against a mirror match, it really helps set you up so you don't lose as much as you would be regularly. We all know what Diablo does. Sack 3, your opponent can't guard unless he sacks 2. So, you know, Charon and David are the cards that you'd want to get into for that. So these are the Stride units. Now going into finishing off the zeros, I start out, it depends actually, but usually I'll start out with Judgebau, you know, depending on the matchup. If we're playing the best 2 out of 3, or if it's just best of 1, I'll go into Judgebau, and then, you know, once he hits with Phantom, or even if he doesn't, it's perfectly fine, because then I could just go right into David. Playing 2 starters, it's not a bad idea. Everybody's played 2. Before, I used to always play 2 Judgebaus. Then I started realizing, you know what? It's going to get retired probably if I don't get it off. So I'll just Legion it back in and hope to get it out. Prior to this, I was using Dark Bond, and she called out a grade 0 rested so I could set up for the next turn, but I can't really do anything with that if it gets retired. So that's when I decided to use Darkheart. And now, if I Legion, I can Darkheart right into Judgebau, and I can just set up for my plays. Honorable mentions of cards that I've played, liked, etc., etc. I played Ethnician. I like him, but he takes a little bit to set up, and if you only have 1 card on the board, you're going to lose it if you want to use his effect. He's actually pretty good in Clarence Sword, but I wouldn't mainly focus on him. But I've tried him in Shadows and the Revengers. It wasn't too bad. If you can use it, use it. If not, don't criticize it too much. And Madu. I've seen people use Madu. I like it. I want to try it out. I will. But it's not too bad. Once you're in Legion, you can get back the Abyss that you need to Legion after you Stride. You know, it's pretty much free. But as far as Shadows goes, that's going to be it. I'm going to give it back to my buddy Terrell here, and he'll wrap things up.
Hey everyone, Sky Knight here. Thanks for watching.